What's going on, everybody? Good morning. We have made it to the weekend, made it to Saturday morning, and something pretty interesting is going on with the Seattle Seahawks over the weekend. It actually started yesterday, but let's go ahead and just talk about it now. Let's talk about what we learned from this thing, if anything, yesterday, and let's talk about what we might be able to learn over the next 2 days. So, yesterday was the start of the 2025 Seattle Seahawks Rookie Minicamp. So this is an opportunity for rookies, or in a couple of rare instances, players that have no actual NFL experience, even though they've been in the league, get to kind of show up early and get some work in before the veterans so they can get a little bit of a leg up. And it also gives an opportunity for UDFAs and long shots to make an impression, because a lot of these players, they're not going to get an opportunity to make an impression after all the veterans show up. Like if you are a sixth string quarterback, what are you going to do when training camp starts and OTAs start and there are 5 quarterbacks ahead of you? How are you going to get anybody's attention? The answer is you're not. But if you go to the rookie minicamp and you're one of 2 quarterbacks there, maybe then you can get somebody's attention. Now, you probably still won't, but at least you have a chance. So the rookie minicamp is always interesting, always definitely worth checking into. I will say that the opportunities to learn from rookie minicamp are pretty limited, because what the players actually get to do is fairly limited. So I'm going to be talking about what I can talk about, but just understand that for the most part, there's not going to be a lot of really informative stuff to us. The informative stuff is going to be for the coaches. It's going to be for the team, the people who work for the team. People like us, people who are on the outside, we get very little to work with from this. Like, just as an example, our first round pick this year, Gray Zabel, you're not really going to see much from the offensive line in rookie minicamp. They're working with John Benton. I saw some pictures. I saw some people talking about it. Saw them doing some stuff. But in terms of watching them do stuff that we as Seahawks fans on the outside get to learn from, there's really not much. So straight up, don't expect to hear much about Zabel one way or the other. Don't expect to hear much about a guy like Arroyo. And somebody in my comments said it's pronounced Arroyo, which sounds very foreign to me, but sure. Don't expect to hear much about most of these players, but let's take a look at what we might be able to learn regardless. So if you want to know how many players are there this weekend, and 3-day weekend, call it a 3-day weekend because it started yesterday on Friday. But according to this tweet from Condota yesterday, there are 42 tryout players, 11 draft picks, so that's 53, 17 UDFAs, and 2 veterans who qualify to be able to take part because they've seen no NFL action, even though they've been in the NFL, quote unquote. John Reese Plumlee and Jamie Sheriff. So that's 53, 55, and 72. So that's 72 players that are there. So that's actually a lot. That's not far off from the 90 players that will be there when, or presumably 90 players. It might be a few less at the initial OTAs in training camp before the preseason cutdowns. If you want to see a full list of players, Curtis Crabtree posted this. So I'm not going to read through the whole list here because that would be ridiculous. And you can see that a lot of them are very much long shots, right? And it's just in order from number. It looks like it's just based off number. So it's not in any particular order of like this guy's more likely to make it than the other guy. 0 Isaiah Hamilton's at the very top here. And then you have number 99 Brandon Brown all the way at the bottom here. So if you want to see the full list, then you can pull this tweet up. You can pause the video, whatever. But I'm not going to go through the whole thing on video here because it would take all day. But I don't think there's anybody not there that we expected to be there, right? No rookie that I know of is missing minicamp. One thing that I do find kind of interesting on this list, though, Tyrone Broden is not 6'7", he's 6'5". Still very tall, but that is a noticeable difference for such a unique player. And 6'7" was part of the reason why he was unique. So you look at him at 6'5" and you're like, that's still tall, but not necessarily superhuman anymore, are we? We'll probably talk more about Broden in the future because he is a pretty interesting player, even if he's not exactly likely to latch on here. All right, so that's the list of players. So let's go through some stuff, the little bit that we can as fans on the outside. Again, I want to stress that we as Seahawks fans don't really have the opportunity to get into that building and look at everything that the team is looking at. And this is just going to be one of those instances where you just have to scoop up whatever little bit gets out there. So one thing that I want to talk about is somebody we can learn something about, Jalen Milroe. So one of the more interesting things from yesterday and over the next 2 days as well, Rookie Minicamp, is Jalen Milroe. And there was a lot of conversation around Milroe. By the way, I got another comment telling me that Rowe shouldn't be emphasized, so it should be what, Milroe? No, Milroe. Yeah, that one's going to be tough. This is another reason why I didn't want to draft him, I guess. I'm going to have a hell of a time getting his name right. Milroe. Milroe. We'll go with that for now, but I'll try to figure it out. I struggle with that one a lot. But anyway, so you guys know how I feel about Milroe. You guys know how I feel about his chances of succeeding in the NFL. But let me say this, based on everything we're hearing about him personally, based on everything we're seeing from him so far in the NFL, not that he's really been in the NFL for more than a week and a half here, but based on what we're seeing, it's not going to be for lack of trying. It's not going to be for lack of effort. He seems to have the right attitude. He seems to be saying the right things. I even like the way that he dealt with the media when he was talking to some of the NFL Network guys a couple days ago. And when you ask him about stuff like, what do you think you need to get better at? And what do you think you need to work on? He's got answers for that. This is not a Shedeur Sanders situation where you feel like, and I don't know if this is true or not, if you asked Shedeur that question, he would say, I'm good. I'm golden as is, it feels like. I don't know if he would, but that's what it feels like. You're not seeing that from Milroe, so that's good. And there was some interesting stuff concerning Milroe and what he's doing so far. Obviously, he's only been on the team he's technically not on the team yet because there's been no contract, but he was drafted by the team a little more than a week ago. And one thing that I recommend everyone check out is the virtual reality simulations they're doing to help him prepare for the season. This is relatively new technology. It's something that Jaden Daniels used a lot. And basically, it's almost like playing Madden, but actually having to do the motions and actually having to like do all the things you do in real life. It's an opportunity to learn how to read NFL defenses and do stuff in the NFL without actually taking physical hits. Like the only thing that you have to use is your arm because you have to throw, but you don't have to worry about getting hit. You don't have to worry about any other real physical strenuous activity that could wear you down over time. So that was a pretty interesting thing to look at. Definitely check it out. Again, this is something that Jaden Daniels leaned on heavily last year on his way to winning Rookie of the Year. Now, I don't think Milroe is going to play very much as a rookie, but it's very possible that that process allows him to maybe become a good NFL quarterback at some point. And I think there are a lot of holes in his game. But one thing that encourages me and one thing that made me happy to hear, you hear about that virtual reality thing and you think, okay, he's working on his decision making. Apparently, he's also working with, I think it was Jordan Palmer on his release, which is, to me, another big problem with his game. So he has these problems. At the very least, what we can say, he is working on making those problems better. So again, if he doesn't work out, it doesn't seem like it's going to be for lack of trying, and I really appreciate that. Beyond that, some other news that I was able to pick up from the rookie minicamp coverage. The Seahawks, per Brady Henderson, are taking it slow with Torrey Horton as he works his way back from a knee and hamstring injury, so don't expect much from him from this minicamp. Seems like he's still hurt. Don't expect necessarily much from him in training camp either. He might still be working his way back when we come around to the actual training camp. Also mentioned is that he might be able to be our punt returner, which is big because I don't have a lot of confidence in our current punt returning options. Remember, we did not bring back Jalen Darden, which I would have liked to have done, but we chose not to for one reason or another. Torrey Horton is somebody who returned punts in college, so maybe that's how he finds a way to make a big contribution as a rookie. Apparently, Ricky White also did some returning in college. I wasn't actually aware of that. I'll have to look into that over the next couple of weeks here. But if you're wondering about Horton, he's still hurt. We also got this from Brady Henderson talking a little bit about Arroyo, tight end Elijah Arroyo. The knee injury that slowed him pre-draft is behind him. He didn't run a 40 at the Combine or his pro day due to that injury, but I'm told the Seahawks estimate that Arroyo would have run about a 4.52 based on his GPS speed. So, a couple things to break down here. First of all, 4.52 would be very, very good. And one thing that I've said about Arroyo so far in my evaluation of him is I didn't think he was a particularly good athlete. I thought he was an average athlete, and while that's not going to determine whether or not he's good, I did hold that a little bit against him. If he can actually run a 4.52 40 or a 4.53 40, then that would definitely have to be reconsidered. Now, he says this knee injury slowed him pre-draft. Was the knee injury something he was playing through last season that made him look less athletic than he was? I guess that's possible. Maybe that's why I didn't see the stuff that other people saw. I saw stuff with him that was indicative of him being very, very hampered by that knee injury. Remember, last year was the only year he did much of anything in college. So you don't have previous years to pull on with Arroyo. And sorry if somebody led me astray and that's not how you pronounce the name, but I'll go with it for the time being, and we'll see what the actual official name is. So that would be interesting. Because again, to me, one of the big strikes against Arroyo and why I didn't really want to take him in the second round was he's an average athlete for the position. And if I'm spending a high pick on a tight end, I want a little bit more sizzle. So if he's actually this fast, and I'm not saying that I totally buy it, like maybe he reached this speed on occasion, but I would be surprised if he got there consistently. That's interesting, although it does reintroduce one of the other big problems with Arroyo as a prospect, the injuries. And if he was playing through an injury that hampered him last year, then that means he hasn't had any clean bills of health in his college career. Because the other years he wasn't really able to play very much because of injury. So if they're now saying, hey, a knee injury kept him from being able to play at full go, then I guess we've never really seen what he can fully do on the field. But interesting stuff nonetheless. One other thing that I want to shout out here, just a little thing from a smaller account, NFL Fan BR. Woodard, this is one of our UDFA linebackers, had an interception today. This is going to be very interesting to monitor going forward. Woodard on this team, because he's a guy who has a chance to make this squad because we don't have linebacker depth. And to me, Woodard is a guy that kind of stands out. He's not a guy I talked about pre-draft, but the more I look at this guy, the more I feel like there might be something there. So keep an eye on Woodard. He made a good first impression yesterday. Let's hope he can continue to do it. We have an opening with our linebacker depth. And Woodard seems like a guy that maybe should have been drafted. Wasn't. We picked him up. Maybe we end up benefiting from this. All right. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think. More stuff later.